Hey guys, welcome back to Calmwithin. If this is your first time listening, I'm Tanvi, and before I get into today's topic, I just want to quickly share something really special and important to me that happened in the last few days or weeks. I recently published a book, and it's called Almost Whole. It's a self help book that talks about confidence, spirituality, manifestation, and self love, self trust, and the life lessons I've learned, and it just goes through all the experiences that I went through as a teenager. In this day and age, there's so many books, self-help books, that are from an adult perspective or for an adult audience. And while me discovering myself while reading and watching so many podcasts or so many books that talk about these things, I realized that I wanted to show my experiences on how I went through this, not just a perspective from someone else or an adult. I wanted to share my experiences and show how a teenager got through these things and show it in a teenager perspective. So not only you feel left more comfortable reading this book, it also shows a different perspective where you can understand it even more personally. So this book is actually available in India and the US. It's going to be coming on the Kindle soon, and I'm just so excited, which is something I'm really grateful for. And especially since I wrote this in high school, everything that comes with me being a teenager and in high school, it really does help a lot. And yeah, this book is actually started it actually started as simple notes on my phone where I just used to write journal and like talk about, I don't know, like I just used to take like small notes of quotes and something that I was passionate about. um Learning about myself and starting to improve myself became a passion for me. I really started looking forward to it. I worked so much. I liked working on myself. I liked learning new things about myself and new lessons that I could put to become a better person, and it's just something that resonated with me. And this it just started off like through experiences, through thoughts in my head, like things that I was trying to understand and make sense of. And over time, like these notes turned into chapters. I started writing more. I actually started becoming more passionate. I wanted to help others. And going through that, I realized that I wanted to publish this book. I wanted to make it a full book, and which actually kind of feels unreal to me because, I mean, it feels nice, but I just am glad and grateful that I'm now a young author. So yeah. Now, one of the chapters in my book is actually about manifestation, dreams into action. It's probably like one of the last chapters in my book. And that's what I wanted to talk about in today's topic, in today's episode. And I'm not going to be talking about it in a super motivational or unrealistic way. Instead, I want to break down how I approach the topic in the book and how my perspective on manifestation changed over time in a more practical and honest way. It wasn't always like a smooth ride, and it's a very difficult topic sometimes to understand, and some people might think it's very useless too. And most of the really good, amazing things are in my book, so you should read it and to actually get a clear knowledge about it. But I just wanted to talk about it, go over some small details, and not say the techniques, but like not say everything that's in the chapter, but also share my own experiences in it. Because sometimes when you're writing so much, you start to think that I haven't experienced those stuff. Like I just wanted to be more honest about it, and I feel like this is a perfect time for me to talk about it. And that idea kind of didn't sit well with me because my life, like most teenagers, has never been something I could just think my way out of, you know? So there were expectations, school pressure, family dynamics, and a lot of uncertainty about the future because you're between being a kid and an adult at the same time. This is the phase of life, and it feels like you have so much responsibility, but at the same time you want to have fun in life and not just ruin your teenage years. So so you can't just manifest your way out of exams, right? Like you can't just there's so many responsibilities and different conversations difficult conversations that you can go through. So this was a very um, interesting or like appealing topic for me that I wanted to kind of embrace in my life, but at the same time, I was still trying to figure it out. So, when I wrote about manifestation in my book, I wasn't writing it as someone who fully believed in it. It yes, I do actually. I did fully believe in it, but it didn't start off as that. Because I was writing through my journey, and I was writing as someone who was confused by it in the beginning, slightly skeptical. Like, does it actually work, or are people just saying this? Because this thought that like the manifestation actually I learned from my mom, and a lot of these lessons are actually from my mom. So I was curious, like, damn, like my mom is also interested in this type of world, in this realm, and I actually got more curious about it because if your own family member is curious about something, of course you would also try to like get into that, space. So I was curious to like I was curious enough to examine it because I kept noticing patterns in my own life that I couldn't just ignore. So, yeah. So, one thing I started noticing was how often my experiences quietly shaped my outcomes. So, if I expected something to go badly, I would act differently without realizing it. So, I would become more tense, more closed off, more stressed, and more defensive. Like, when you think that you sometimes you feel like you can't do things that other people have already done. Sometimes you feel like you're not capable of it, and it's a very natural human emotion. But when you try to keep on tell yourself in your head that you're going to do bad, it can shape the reality based on how you think about it and how you face different outcomes. So those small shifts in my behavior would make interactions feel awkward, more stressful, which actually then confirmed my original fear based on those outcomes and based on my feelings. Sometimes what happens in reality, um, it can be completely different from other people's perspectives because whatever your emotions are, that's how you see reality. For example, if someone else is happy and they are confident in what they're doing, so they pass it through confidently, they see a positive approach. And for me here, for example, if I'm stressed and thinking the negative side of it, then I get the negative outcome towards it, depending on what emotion that everyone's facing. So that was really hard for me to in the beginning to understand because it's not something to easy to understand. Sorry, when you acknowledge something in your life, that's when you start learning from it. When you don't acknowledge something, when you don't start seeing that pattern in your life, you will be clueless. You won't know what to do. So after I started acknowledging these things in my life and how I react to those things, um, it was easy to fix or to learn from it. And it wasn't that the universe was punishing or testing me. It was that my mindset was influencing my behaviors, and my behavior was influencing the result. There were situations where I would assume people didn't like me before they even had the chance to form an opinion. No, it's 3 2. There were situations where I would assume people didn't like me before they even had the chance to form an opinion. So I would speak less. I would avoid eye contact or overthink everything I said and not trust myself or be confident enough. And then because I seemed distant or nervous, the conversation would feel uncomfortable, and which I would later interpret as proof that they didn't like me. So if you already have the final result that you think is true, then sometimes it actually becomes that because of the way you act, not because of the way you present yourself. You might not even be that type of person, but people can get that side of you because the way you already have that conclusion or result in your head. So it slowly started becoming this loop. Um, expecting something negative or behaving differently because of that expectation, getting a negative result because of that, use that result as evidence that my expectations were correct. So I started thinking, oh, like every time I think this, the same thing is happening. So you start feeling overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't, just because I'm thinking something doesn't mean it has to happen, right? Sometimes it actually doesn't even do that. But there's a reason. That's why people say that whatever you think, you manifest it into reality because that's how you perceive it. So one thing I noticed was that loop, and I started seeing it everywhere, not just in social situations, but in school, in friendships, and even in the way I approached my own goals, because those are very big. And yeah, and there was one specific period where I was constantly telling myself that I wasn't as capable as the people around me. And I compared myself to classmates who seemed more confident, more outspoken, and naturally just better at things. Because sometimes you can just think, oh, like they didn't have to put this much effort, but they still did it. And I'm here working so hard and I still can't even reach to that goal. And because I had already decided that they were already ahead of me, I would hesitate to participate, hesitate to share ideas, and sometimes not even try as hard as I could have or given my best because I'm just like, oh, like they're gonna get it, or like you would just feel less motivated to do things if you start thinking about other people and not yourself. And at that time, I thought I was just being realistic. But looking back to it, I can see that I was lowering my own chances to get better before anyone else did, even if they had the opportunity to judge me. So when they didn't even have it. So yeah. Right now, it does feel a little confusing, but that realization wasn't uncomfortable because it meant I couldn't keep blaming everything out of circumstances, or other people. It meant that I had to acknowledge that some of the limits I felt were actually coming from inside my own head. And it does take a lot of time to even think that, because nobody nobody is going to think. Sometimes I feel like this. I always wanted to work on myself, and people might think, how did you even think about these stuff? Like, how did you even write a whole book about it? Like, what's in there that is so useful? And for a second, I was just thinking, like, not everyone's gonna think the way I think. So it's kind of weird, but at the same time, like, I didn't care. I just wanted to, I was just passionate and I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. So when I started drafting or writing the manifestation chapter in Almost Whole in my book, I thought it would be one of the easier chapters to write. I assumed I already understood the concept well enough to explain it directly, but it actually ended up being one of the hardest chapters because when I'm thinking in my head, it's easier, but when you're writing about it, trying to make someone else understand it, it's very difficult. And this is a very psychological concept, and sometimes it might not even be the right way to explain it. So I spent a lot of time thinking on how to write it because it's not an easy topic, and some people might think it's useless. And I wanted to make it seem like there's things that can make you feel better or accomplished in life. So I ended up being it was one of the hardest chapters, and because writing it forced me to confront how often I was unintentionally working against my goals, I started to think about it more. So not only it's going to help anyone who reads this book, but it also helped me a lot because I was writing what I was thinking and what I've been seeing the proof, or it just made me think that I also acknowledged these things in my head. So it's easy to say you want something: better grades, stronger friendships, creative success, better GPA, better SAT score, but it's harder to notice these small habits and thoughts that actually contradict those goals on a daily basis. So there's many techniques you can use, but I feel like the biggest thing is your mindset, and you have to go through that mindset more to in order to manifest something in your life. And it's not easy. It's Honestly, it is easy once you actually get to the believing part. Believing is the hardest part, and sometimes you don't believe on what you want, but you want to believe it because you want it. So it is very confusing, but I feel like once you start learning about that on yourself and acknowledging the things you actually think about, then it gets better. And you actually will start seeing the positive things in life, not only manifesting in towards your life, but also see life as an opportunity, but not as the life that's taking the opportunity from you. So yeah. There were times when I said I wanted to succeed academically. And but I would what? There were times when I said I wanted to succeed academically, but I would procrastinate because I was scared of finding out that I wasn't capable as I hoped. And procrastination, that's a whole other topic that we can go on, but mostly I was just thinking like I didn't feel motivated. Even though I wanted the outcome, I just didn't feel motivated to do it. So that's where it starts. And there were times when I said I wanted meaningful people in my life or things in my life, and but I would just keep my distance emotionally because I was scared of being judged or replaced. Not replaced, but I was just scared of being judged, and that's a very normal thing to be. A lot of people these days um, act fake in a way. They don't want to show their true selves because they fear of getting judged. But the more that happens in life, the more authenticity or uniqueness of people start to decrease, and that's the generation we're living in. And um, I feel like this book helps a lot on that perspective because I too was judged many times. I too have been there, like judged so much, but I didn't let that get to me. So yeah. Uh, so those contradictions don't like they don't look dramatic from the outside. No one sees you sitting here overthinking a message or delaying like or procrastinating on an assignment because you're afraid of not doing it perfectly. Um, but over time, those moments create a gap between what you say or what you want and what your actions show what you expect. So let's get to the actual point. So, the way I understand manifestation now is less about attracting things and more about alignment, which is kind of, they're very different in a way. So, because alignment between your thought. Okay, so let's get into the nitty. What the fuck? Okay, so let's get into the actual perspective that I talk about in my book. So, the way I understand manifestation now is less about attracting things and more about alignment. So, alignment between your thoughts, your habits, your expectations, and your actions, all as aligned. So, thoughts, habits from those thoughts, and then your expectations from those habits, and the actions that you get from those expectations. So, because if your goal, okay, if your goal is are if your goals are pointing to one direction but your fears and your daily behavior and actions are pointing in another direction, you end up being stuck in the middle. Like your your future self is thinking something else. You have to put yourself in your future self and think, what would I do if I wanted that goal, instead of thinking of the outcome. So and then it feels like nothing is working out because your behavior and your actions are on the other round, on the other side, but your goal is pointing to another direction, so it doesn't align. So that's why I talk about alignment a lot. Your feelings, your mindset has to align to the outcome you want to achieve from the future. And even though technically you're trying, um, it takes a lot of time, but you'll get there. So when I started seeing manifestation as alignment instead of magic or power, it stopped feeling unrealistic and started feeling more practical. And that's what you want to feel most of the time. it became something that I could apply in small ways through how I speak to myself, how I approached opportunities, and how willing I was to put myself into situations where I knew that failure was possible, but also winning was possible. So there's always two sides, but that's the hardest part because you have to choose what side you want to choose. And once you choose it, it becomes easier on where your life is aligned or where your future is going through. Because if I chose the failure side, then I would have never done that to what led me here. So the hardest part is choosing, but once you get through that, it's going to be fine. Okay, so let me give you an example. Publishing Almost Whole, my book, is probably the clearest example of this in my own life. Not because I sat somewhere visualizing a book and it magically appeared. Not because I slowly stopped treating the idea of writing as something unrealistic or not for someone like me. Um, when I got into manifesting or the idea or the passion about manifestation, I actually had a vision board. And a bunch of people create vision boards. And one of the pictures was me signing my book. In the picture, me signing my book in my, it was just a Pinterest picture that I got. And I just wanted that for me, a reality. And so for a long time, writing a book was something I thought about privately, almost like a secret. It felt too big. I didn't want it to share to anyone because obviously sometimes when you share to people, they can get through whatever. I don't know how to call it, but in like, it's basically called evil eye, like nazar. So I didn't want to. I wanted to keep it a secret until I actually got out. And so, too far away from my it felt like too far away from my actual reality as a high school student. Obviously, anyone would think that, like, oh my god, she published a book. But so I know many people who actually published children books, and that's also really big. But this was even bigger because I put my own feelings, my own vulnerabilities, or my own struggles in this book. So if anyone reads it, they're gonna get to know all of it. But I wasn't afraid of it, you know? So once I started acting like this was an actual possibility, being positive about it, writing constantly, researching how publishing works, asking questions and sharing my parts of writing, and just thinking bigger and thinking outside of what would actually happen, I just started writing. I just was passionate about it. And I'm like, you know what? Even if I can't publish it, I'll write it. I want to finish it. This is what I want to do. And so I was just doing it because I wanted to, not because I thought I needed to. So things began to shift, not instantly and not perfectly either, never, but steadily, taking time. And so that taught me something important. Sometimes opportunities don't appear until you start behaving like someone who expects them to exist. And first, I thought it was impossible. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be publishing a book even though I'm writing one. But I put that thought aside. I just wanted to do it. So whenever you have to learn to kind of detach from the outcome, but stay present in what you're trying to do. So that vision board picture, I always, when I felt like nothing was working out, or when I couldn't find a publisher, or when I thought, oh my gosh, like who's gonna even read this book? I looked at my vision board and I just looked at I just imagined myself signing my own book physically, and it made me feel really happy. Made me feel like made me feel proud of myself, even though it didn't even happen yet. But I just like that feeling, you know. So I wanted that feeling. I wanted the feeling of feeling proud. So I worked towards it and got that feeling. So it just takes time. It's not a smooth journey, but I'm here. So one thing I was very conscious of while writing about manifestation in my book was not turning it into false hope. So, for example, if someone reads my book, they'll be like, "Oh, this." Like sometimes people can be like, "Oh, this didn't even help me." When you're reading something, it's your choice to put that into your daily life. You know. And so that's why I also have apply it in my book. After every chapter, I have a brief apply it section where I talk about how you can put this in real life, because sometimes when you read it, you think you understood it, but you don't apply it to your real life. So I didn't want readers to feel like it was, if something didn't work out that you've been wanting or manifesting for, it was their fault for not manifesting hard enough. It's not your fault. Life is complicated. People work hard many times and still face rejection. And I went through that this year. We worked so hard on something and we didn't get the result that we expected. So that's fine though. That's just how life is. You're gonna have failures. So if you manifest something, if you wanted something, there's many things that I manifested for, but it didn't work out. But I still believed in it because I knew that maybe it was just not written for me, you know? Maybe it was just part of the life that I have to go through. And so um people work hard, people face rejection still, and situations that are completely outside of their control they face. And so ignoring ignoring that reality would have made the chapter dishonest or harmful in a way, because what am I writing for then if I'm giving false hope to people? So I showed that perspective. So instead of presenting manifestation as a guarantee, I presented it as a way to remove some of the internal resistance we create for ourselves. And so the negative self talk, the fear of trying, and the habit of expecting disappointment before anything has even happened yet. So I put a lot of thought towards this, because even when people manifest, it always doesn't work out. And that's just, then you might think, what's the point of it? But it's, even if you try, you will start seeing changes in your life no matter what. So, yeah. Manifestation or your mindset doesn't control everything, but it does control more than we usually admit. For example, if I keep on say positive things to myself and be like, oh my gosh, like we're gonna make it, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do this and that, but the outcome you ended up not thinking of this outcome because you thought you were actually gonna win, but you didn't. Um, it's not that that you're supposed to control everything. Your mindset doesn't always control everything. Even though if you're being positive in your head, doesn't mean the mindset is going to be the same. It's how you learn from it. But it does control more than we usually admit, because even if you put so much hard work in and you're positive about it, even if you don't get the result, you're still going to be proud of yourself. So that's the biggest thing that you should learn about. So instead of asking, is this even going to work out, I've started asking myself a different question. Am I acting like someone who believes that this is possible? And if you're not acting as someone who believes this is possible, then you have to work on it. But if you are actually, instead of saying, is this even going to work out? And think about the outcome. Start thinking, what should I do to act like someone who believes that this is possible? What should I do to act like someone who has already this goal, who has this goal already, who has experienced it in reality? So we have to change our actions based on that thinking. And sometimes the honest answer is, oh, 3, 2, 1. And sometimes the honest reason in these outcomes is no. Sometimes I'm still procrastinating, still doubting myself in, because I'm still growing, you know? It's not like, oh, I have everything figured out. I will never have anything figured out. No one will have no one will have anything figured out all the time. But they will learn. You'll grow. You will reach the final point when you're supposed to stop learning about yourself or about anything. So I'm still thinking about all these, but I'm acknowledging of what I'm thinking, and that's a start. And so still avoiding opportunities because they feel intimidating or uncomfortable or too far away. I started acknowledging those feelings, that I shouldn't be feeling those things. I should work on what I want to, and I should work on the outcome. I should work on the process and not the outcome. So asking that question helped me notice that gap between what I say I want and what my behavior shows what I expect. So And once you notice that gap, you can't really unsee it. You acknowledge it. So, which means you also have the chance to start closing it away, to start putting it away, even if it's slow, or even if it's a slow process. So, that's that's the nice part about it. But asking that question helped me notice the gap between what I say I wanted and what my behavior shows what I expected. And once you notice that gap, you can't really unsee it. You acknowledge it, which means you can actually which means you also have a chance to start closing it away, to start detaching from it, to start going away from that mindset. Even if it's a slow process, it really does make a big difference, because when you acknowledge your own thoughts, your own mistakes, that's when you know how to fix it. That's when you know how to get over it. And that's the first step that everyone has to go through in order to learn a lesson, in order to reach a certain goal, in order to become a better person, even in the most complicated way or in the most simplest way. Manifestation is just another way to build your life, to become the person you've always wanted to become. And that's a start. If manifestation is something that you've always been curious about, but also skeptical of, I understand that completely. And I wrote about it from that exact mindset too. So, not as someone who blindly believed in it, but as someone who started noticing patterns that were too consistent to ignore. And the chapter in Almost Whole, my book, goes deeper into this, way more deeper, scientifically, psychologically, and in reality, and through my experiences, and explains how I personally applied these ideas, these techniques, while balancing school, expectations, friendships, and everything else that comes with being a teenager, trying to plan a future that still feels uncertain and unpredictable. But it dives really deep into it, and it's honestly one of my favorite chapters. It was my favorite to write about because I not only went into my experiences but also in the psychological and scientific aspect, and I feel like it's very interesting if you actually read about it. And honestly, writing that chapter didn't just change how I explain manifestation, it changed how I looked at my own decisions, my own habits, and the way I talk to myself when things don't go the way I hoped. Um, I really hope this helps anyone who's thinking about these things, or anyone. This applies to every teenager, and it's something that is very important or useful to know. Not everyone has the time or uh, the clear mindset to study upon this or to grow from this, but everyone has the capability and everyone has time in their life to think about these things, because they're very crucial. If you don't understand it now, you'll understand it later. But I feel like it's it'll help you in the future more easily. It's very very deep, but also very fascinating at the same time. Especially since I've been so passionate about it. And thank you so much for listening to this episode. I probably just yapped about how I felt about it the entire time, but I also wanted to give a small. I just wanted to have this talk. I felt like it was needed. I just wanted to talk about this and talk about why I wrote this chapter and how I wrote it, and even if someone disagrees with it, it's just my opinion and how I experienced it. Not not everyone will experience the same thing as I did, and not everyone will talk about manifestation as I did. Everyone has different perspectives on it, but as a teenager living through struggles or even happiness, good things in life, I wanted to show the world or anyone that anything is possible, and if you put yourself first. So I'll talk to you guys again soon. I'm going to be having a special guest soon, and it's going to be a little different. And thank you guys so much for listening to me in Calmwithin Podcast. And make sure to, if you want a signed copy of my book, make sure to contact me. I can, if you live near me, I can get it to you, but we can talk about that. It's going to be on Kindle soon. In India, it's already out in Amazon and Flipkart. People are already buying it, and I'm just so happy and excited to hear any feedback. Please let me know how it is, and I just hope you guys have an amazing time in life, even when you're struggling. And bye, guys. Thank you.